And with that, welcome you into this edition of Big Ten Today. Rick Pizzo, Dave Wanstead. It's Friday. It is also the day after the first round of the NFL draft. If Wani looks a little bit like a guy who's been on TV for, 10 of the last 12 hours, that's because he has been. And that's what happens after one of the most exciting days in sports. For a lot of NFL fans, Thursday's like Christmas Eve.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what's interesting? It's kind of like signing day in college, right? Recruiting signing day. Your guy is the best guy in the draft. And that's the attitude you got to have. Because they're years. Once you draft them, there's no turning back. And so, yes, everybody's optimistic. And we got 2 more days of the draft. And
now, hold on. Not everybody's optimistic.
Everybody thinks their player was the best player in the draft.
Jets fans are never optimistic heading into the draft.
Well, after the draft, they are. They added an offensive lineman to help Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is happy. Jet fans are happy.
All right, we'll get to that offensive lineman. That's Olu Fashanu from Penn State. We'll get to him in just a little bit. But first, our big story does focus on the Big Ten players chosen in the first round. You see Fashanu at 11, but there are 2 Big Ten players taken before him, and they were the 2 players that we expected to go before him. Marvin Harrison, top 5. He goes number 4 overall to Arizona. J.J. McCarthy, subject of a lot of heavy conversation, both leading into and will be coming out of the draft as well. He goes 10 to Minnesota. And Chop Robinson, Miami had kind of targeted him, an edge rusher from Penn State. More on Robinson in just a bit. But we start with Marvelous Marv. He's considered maybe not just to be the best receiver in this class, but a lot of folks believe he was the best available player, Dave, and maybe the most NFL-ready player. I truly believe if Kyler Murray gets back to form, Marvin Harrison has a great chance to be the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, you hit on 2 good points. I mean, number one, being around his dad, right, a Hall of Fame player for the Colts out of Syracuse, he's been around it his whole life. So he's not going to walk into an NFL training camp, a mini camp, and say, big eyes, wow, what is this? This is really cool to be around the NFL guys. He's been there. He's done that. So that's a big check the box, that he doesn't have to go through. You know what's funny? During the course of the year, doing all our shows here, every time I watch him, I think I've said it 4 or 5 times, someone said, who's he remind you of? He reminds me of a guy, a Pitt guy we had, Larry Fitzgerald. And it's ironic that
That's a pretty nice comparison.
But Larry Fitzgerald played at Arizona, so the whole thing fits. But the real key to this thing, it's exactly what you said, Rick. Kyler Murray, they gave the big contract to their quarterback. He really hasn't produced like they expected him to produce when they drafted him. So what are you going to do? You're going to try to get him as much help as possible. And how could you get him any more help than getting Marvin Harrison?
Well, and I think what it does for Murray, it allows him to stay in the pocket a little bit longer. Like, you want to run, or do you want to wait for Marvin Harrison to run and get open? Because that's the better option. Listen, Marvin Harrison is a guy who even in double coverage got open in college. It changes. We all know that in the NFL. Cover corners, guys who can actually lock you down from time to time. But this is a guy, Dave, that I've tried to watch all of his tape. I've tried to find a weakness.
Right.
Do you see one?
No, I really don't. Another good point is because Kyler Murray last year, he got banged up and he missed some games because he got hurt because he was running too much. But now, if you got a guy like Marvin Harrison, if you think about it and you watched all the tape, now if you're scrambling, even if he's covering, that was the Larry Fitzgerald thing. 1 or 2 guys, throw it up. It's not going to be perfect, but if you get that ball anywhere in the vicinity, he's going to come down or he's going to have a great chance to make the play.
Because they call those 50-50 balls. With guys like Fitzgerald and Harrison, they're 70-30 balls to the receiver. And, of course, you can always get the PI call as well. Ohio State has sent many receivers in the first round. And it is believed that Harrison could potentially be the best of the group in a very long time. And if he were to go and win Offensive Rookie of the Year, that would be 2 Ohio State guys in a row right after C.J. Stroud had just an absolutely phenomenal year. So Harrison is the first off the board in a really deep receiver class. We're in Chicago, and Bears fans awfully happy with the receiver that they got at number 9, Roma Dunze, who plays for Washington, of course, who will be in the Big Ten this coming fall. All right, let's move on now to J.J. McCarthy at quarterback. the Vikings had targeted McCarthy. Kirk Cousins gone, so they had a spot. Yes, they signed Sam Darnold, a veteran who's been with, 4 different teams and has yet to have success. Does that likely mean that McCarthy's maybe walking into a situation, Dave, where he is the day one starter?
I would. I'll tell you, you said Sam Darnold, his backup is Nick Mullins, member from Iowa, Nick Mullins, quarterback. So Sam, I would put JJ in there, number one. And if you look close at this Vikings roster, it's very similar to what the Bears are going in. I mean, you line up, they've got all-pro. They got Jefferson at one receiver, Hawkinson, the big tight end, a great player.
Out of Iowa, yep.
Last year, Addison, number one pick that they drafted out of USC. So you've got 2 outstanding receivers. You got a great tight end. And how about this free agent signing, Aaron Jones from the Green Bay Packers, the running back? And he was the lifeline to that offense for Aaron Rodgers. So my point is, hey, put him in there. The Bears are going to play Caleb Williams the same way, and they're saying, we got you a great supporting cast. A rookie can come in, and he can function, he can win for us. He's got just as much talent in Minnesota as what the Bears have, in my opinion, here in Chicago. So I would not waste time. JJ, he's been coached by an NFL guy.
He's a mature guy.
He's a mature guy. You know, Jim Harbaugh, I mean, the mentality that he had, the meetings that he ran, I mean, you could not have a better head coach mentor than Jim Harbaugh for a quarterback.
Here's the one knock on McCarthy, and it's probably an unfair knock. He didn't have to throw the ball downfield very much last year. They had that stout run game with Blake Corum and that offensive line. We know how Jim Harbaugh likes to call games offensively. It's not that he can't throw the ball downfield. It's that he didn't have to a lot. And say what you will about Kirk Cousins and his career, Kirk Cousins threw an unbelievable deep ball, and Justin Jefferson was the recipient of a lot of those. Do you, if McCarthy is the opening day starter, do you gently get him in there, or is it a situation, Dave, where, listen, you're a starter at quarterback in the NFL. You have to show us you can make every single throw from the very first Sunday.
I think you put him in there as a starter. I was coaching the Dolphins when Tom Brady started his first game. I was coaching at the Bears when Brett Favre started his first game. And the coaches put together Belichick and Mike Holmgren put together great game plans that was quarterback friendly, that gave him a chance to have success. Well, maybe it's similar to what Michigan.
That's what you need to do. I agree.
That's what you need to do. And, you know, the one thing, the reason that Justin Fields isn't with the Bears anymore, the thing that separates quarterbacks is, okay, it's the fourth quarter, your team's down by 10, there's 6 minutes left. Is he capable, when everybody in the stadium knows that you got to throw the ball, is he capable of going down and scoring twice and winning? Well, guess what? J.J. McCarthy did that against Alabama. He took them down and scored, went to overtime.
27-1 in 28 starts in college.
I mean,
there's no substitute for winning.
Yeah, how many of these other quarterbacks, when they've been down like that on national TV in the playoffs with that kind of pressure against Alabama, has been able to get down twice and put the ball in the end zone?
Now, his physical tools may not be that of Caleb Williams or Jalen Daniels, because very few are. But McCarthy is no slouch in the athletic department either. I think it's a fascinating pick. He goes number 10 overall to Minnesota. Obviously, see what the immediate future holds. Very shortly after McCarthy is taken, we see another offensive player taken in Penn State offensive lineman Olu Fashanu. What an unbelievable run. He had 14 consecutive offensive picks. Kind of shows exactly where the NFL and that instinct and that belief right now in what wins games is. Fashanu is an immediate plug-and-play guy. He can play at different positions on the offensive line. Jets needed help up front. This was both a need pick and probably a best available at that position pick at the same time.
Yeah, I think it, and it goes back to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he was complaining about the offensive line all last year. You hit it on the point that he plays different positions and has played everywhere in his career, because the Jets have signed, they got a number one pick at center, and they have signed 3 free agents from other teams this year in the offensive line. So when you look at it, you say, okay, where do they have him slotted in? Are they going to play him at left tackle, right tackle, guard? Who knows? It'll be real interesting to see how it unfolds. Do they need help? 100%. Are they trying to take care of the best player on their team, Aaron Rodgers? 100%. where he ends up playing will be the real factor here.
How much is that a factor in the draft room? Like when you're looking at an offensive line, you're debating between a couple of guys, Fashanu, the big dude from Alabama who doesn't move quite as well. How much is the ability to slide between tackle and guard, both sides of the line, even fill in at center? How much does that help you when it comes to draft night?
It definitely helps you. Can you do it physically, and then can you do it mentally? You know what I mean? We had a lot of guys that we say, oh, God, he's athletic enough to play anywhere. But he really can't learn it that well that we can't switch him in the middle of the game and him know the plays and the assignments at guard and tackle. Our guy, Olu, can.
All right, Chop Robinson was a guy Miami had said all along leading into the draft that they like. He was productive at Penn State. I think the question is, can he be that kind of productive guy in the NFL against bigger, stronger, and faster offensive linemen?
Yeah, the things that jump at you here, obviously, are his first step off the line is probably the best of any lineman.
In terms of pure speed.
And that's something you don't coach. That is just when the ball moves, how quick can you quick twitch and get going. He outstanding at that. He's got the speed. The thing that is lacking, and I think you got to go back to say, what are they doing on scheme on defense? Because I talked to a lot of people about this guy when I was watching him, and I said, he doesn't make many plays. For all these fast numbers, I don't see the sacks, and I don't see the tackles for loss like I'd like to see, okay? And they said that they did so much pressure that a lot of his responsibility was just contained, stay outside. So that may answer the question for you. The interesting thing, the Miami Dolphins this morning, they had him listed on the depth chart as an outside linebacker. So is he going to be an outside linebacker? Is that how they see him? I don't know. But that's where they got him on the depth chart. And they lost 2 of their 4 pass rushers. And Chubb's coming off an injury. Phillips is coming off an injury. So it'll be interesting to see, just like Olu, where do they slot him in day one? What position you're going to put him in and let him earn a spot?
I mean, no wonder you were up so early this morning, scouring every single team's depth chart.
Well, I was curious about it.
Draft. No, it's a legitimate question. Where is he going to play? How is he going to play? And where is he going to play? Much more draft talk from Dave still to come a little bit later in the show.